Yo, what's going on? It's the Heavyist podcast, weekly worship at the altar of radness. There's two quite large deathcore records dropping this week, so it's only fitting that we observe them.
Quite substantial, one might say. Yeah, man. As we've alluded to a few times, deathcore has been on one in 2025. There's been a lot of amazing albums from that scene that we've dissected and adored, and we've had a real pleasure listening to. And we've had, obviously, Whitechapel, the legends, the godfathers of the scene, bringing us one of their best albums in years. But then also on the other side of the coin, we've had like Psycho Frame, Killing of a Sacred Deer, these kind of bands coming through. This sort of next generation of deathcore bands who are really hungry. So yeah, October the 31st is the release of two pretty big deathcore records from kind of both generations. We've got the absolutely legendary Despised Icon with a new record, showing that they're still one of the most kind of vital bands in that world. And then also on the other side of the coin, we've got Spite, who they've been around a little while, but they're still kind of establishing themselves and proving their worth in the scene. So yeah, let's get into it, man. What do you want to start with?
Firstly, I just want to talk about how sick it is, like when you're like doing an album cycle and it lines up that it makes sense to release it on Halloween.
Yeah,
how sick! Like just being in a band and realizing that, like, oh shit, yeah, Halloween makes sense for this. Yeah. Like that must be so sick.
Well, you're like, you know what? For the 31st is a Friday this year. We need to release this album on Halloween, baby.
Yeah, that must be awesome.
Yeah,
it lines up so perfectly with merch drops, stuff like that. Yeah. It's so sick.
Yeah,
they get to do a silly Halloween release show where they dress up like brilliant.
Do a range of merch with like Jason Voorhees on it or something. Like happy days, man. Happy days. Let's start with Spite, man. Spite, 4-piece deathcore band from Southern California. Their new album is called New World Killer, and it's released on the 31st through Rise Records. Spite are a band that if you've been listening to the show for a while, you will know that I really rate them. This is their fourth full-length album, and I think it's taken them a little while to really find their stride, but their last record, Dedication to Flesh, was absolutely wicked. And I feel like they're a band who kind of represent this sort of tier, like just kind of live just below the kind of the real top echelons of deathcore, but, you know, they're really showing their potential and their chops. And I think they could be really primed to take that next big step and become a band who are like a really, really big deal in the deathcore scene.
Absolutely, man. Like, I have listened to Spite in bits and bobs over the years. I'm pretty sure we covered a record here or there.
I'm pretty sure we covered the last one. I think I made you do it.
And I have, I've never been a big Spite guy. I've always been like, that's a great band, or that's a deathcore band with a great vocalist, is what I've always thought. Like, Darius is an absolute beast, and I feel like he's kind of outclassed what's going on musically, and I think potentially they've been a bit more deathcore by numbers for a bit of, from my opinion.
I could see that, yeah.
And I tell you what, mate, I am over the bloody moon with this record.
It's absolutely banging, isn't it?
So sick.
So good.
It's so sick.
They've had this like new, much like we were talking about last week with the Acacia Strain, they've had this new drummer come into the lineup. I think their previous drummer is now doing just Darko full time. So they've got this guy, Travis Rainier, who's in Angel Maker and Carcosa, and he's kind of joined the ranks of this band, and I don't know, I feel like maybe he's injected some real life into their sound, because this is definitely their kind of biggest, thickest, grooviest record to date. Like, they're really putting some swing into deathcore.
Yeah, mate, this record does absolutely kick the door clean off the hinges. Man. It's got a cool sort of ceremonial intro. Like, obviously it's amazing because the band starts the record with their own name, which is just stupidly hard.
The hardest move ever is the first and the last lyric on the record are both lyric. Spite, which is one of the hardest moves maybe ever.
It's the best move.
It's so cool.
Calling it out at the beginning and the very end of the record is such a sick move. I don't know who else has done that move.
No,
is that a fresh move?
I think it's.
Is this
I
a
think
fully
it might
fresh
be
move?
a virgin move, man. I think they might have
It's
broke
so
ground. Yeah, man. I mean, you get no prizes for comparing a deathcore record to the Cleansing, but like, you know, when we talked about the Cleansing when we did the Deathcore Summer and how we were like, there's a lot more new metal in this than I ever really remembered.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can really hear that coming across in what Spite are doing, along with this like new wave of American heavy metal kind of like Lamb of God groove metal like style all over it. I think it makes it's the perfect logical move for the band to kind of add some of that to what's going on to make their music more like ready for bigger venues. Like it's the obvious move is to like, I don't know, either go black metal or go like big and epic like Fit for an Autopsy, but they've kind of pivoted and done something a bit more different, and I really think it's working for them, and I really think it plays to their strengths.
Dude, I absolutely am with you on like these like sort of like new metal-y riffs. Like when we listened to the Cleansing, I was like, there's a lot more sort of real sort of Slipknot throwback riffs, and Gavel has that in spades. That like real bendy riff that's in there is proper in that vibe, and dude, I loved it, man. I loved it. There's like, but then, you know, there's some really interesting different sort of flourishes throughout this. Like Lights Out feels like a deathcore Crowbar song.
Yeah, man.
Like Shallow feels like a deathcore Knock Loose song. Like when I listened to this multiple times through, I was picking out more and more like, this is what Knock Loose would do if they were a deathcore band, and I think that's sick as fuck.
Yeah,
like that's absolutely just ridiculously cool.
I could definitely hear that. It's the swing, isn't it? It's the like, you know, when they'll do that thing when it just like when it just really like just gets that groove going on the bell of the Rhine. It's just got that like there's this something that my brother-in-law always says is when he sees some, you know, when you see a geezer walking down the street and he's got that proper like, look at me, I'm well hard bowl. He calls them Terry Two Tellies, and like they're walking with like a telly underneath each arm. And this to me is like Terry Two Tellies the album. Like every moment in it, it's just like, yeah. You just walk down the street and you just give off "Don't fuck with me" energy when you listen to this record out in public. Like it's really got that swagger and that attitude in every little like groove and moment.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like the Knock Loosey bits are even sort of there in that track Shallow, like the sort of like more sort of like calmer atmospheric sort of parts, like where there's these like little interesting guitar parts that like don't really have any business in most deathcore tracks. Like this is like they're like there's something that they, you know, most people aren't chucking in there, and I really think that they have just annihilated this record. Like, you know, I was listening to this and I'm getting hints of like old Suicide Silence, getting hints of Knock Loose, like Shedding Skin has like a real cool like sludgy deathcore that finishes with like a big sort of like Acacia Strain style worship like breakdown. Yeah, man. And you know, it's really cool to like listen to this record and just get like loads of comparisons of just the sickest bands in existence. Like it's really, this record has come for me in a way that I was not expecting, and I've just been spinning it like mad. I am a Spite fan through and through now, brother, because this is the album that this is the album they deserve. Like, because I know you said it was fourth. I thought it was the fifth album. You probably are correct.
I'm pretty sure
I'm
it's
incorrect.
their fourth.
But you know, I was thinking, you know, they've been around. They are absolutely an established deathcore band, and I really think that this if you've heard of Spite before and seen them, and you think you've heard them and sort of know what they have to offer, this album is just so much more, I feel. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think if you're one of these people who's kind of like, they're just one of those other deathcore bands, you know, there's like Fit for an Autopsy and like, you know, Lorna Shore and whatever up at this top level, and then there's like a bunch of other stuff kind of in the middle that I don't pay too much attention to. I think it's time to switch on to this band. Like Darius, like you were saying, Darius is one of the best vocalists in this scene. Like, I think the guy's got so much skill and so many chops, but he's so controlled with how he kind of throws his skills out. Like, he doesn't
get carried away with trying to just do everything that he can, and we know he can do it. We know how. I mean, if you go on YouTube and look for some of his like one take vocal covers that he's done, you'll see the geezer is an absolute machine. But he knows when it's time to switch it on and do something crazy, do some highs, do some weird guttural noises or whatever. And when it's time to just bark and just give it the attitude, like, I really respect the way that he pulls that off. And I think, yeah, like you're saying, finally there's like the bed for him to live in that really lives up to his skill. Like, I think Hand of the Reaper for me is an absolute floor filler. That tune is so
that
sick.
track, that rips. And I tell you what, there's some real cheeky little synth tucked in there. I didn't even notice it the first couple of times I listened to it. I swear, it's in there, bro. Unless I've done a classic, I had two things playing at once, which I have done before.
Let's hope
I've been like, mate, did you hear that bit in that track? And it completely didn't exist. Because of like, we had like two different music players open. Like, honestly, yeah, it's, there's this little sort of synth that's just tucked in there, and it's really cool, but it doesn't, like, it's not center stage, it just adds, and it's very, very sick. Another thing that I love about this record is that it has given me Matty McDougall at his most feral I've ever heard him.
Yes.
So Matty McDougall featuring on the track Looking Glass.
Yeah,
he comes in, he does very much his standard fare for the first bit when he's in there, but towards the back of it, there's this final like vocal from him, and it is wild. It's Matty McDougall doing a deathcore track. Like, you know, it's not just him coming on being himself. It is very much at the first bit, but then he amps it up, and this wild vocal from him is just fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
it's
man.
so cool.
I honestly, that track Looking Glass you're talking about is proper sick. Like, I love to hear, you don't hear enough like duets these days.
Yeah.
Like a lot of, you know, when you get like a guest spot, they'll probably do a verse or they'll do a couple of lines somewhere, and then they'll naff off. Like, you know, it's got to have that energy, kind of like running on stage, grabbing a mic, going, and then running away again. Like, I understand that. It's not often you get like a, you know, someone coming in and actually being part of an entire track, and having Matt McDougall all over this track and like trading off of Darius is a really, really cool, really awesome way. And I think it's kind of interesting that the other guest vocalists are credited by their names, whereas Matt is credited as featuring Boundaries. And I don't know if that's because there's other members of the band involved in there somewhere, because it kind of feels like Spike just sort of start throwing in some of that MySpacey metalcore into what they're doing for a track, and it works really well. And it's really interesting to just kind of throw that little bit of chaos into what they've got going on, when they're usually such a groovy, like quite locked in band. To just throw that little bit of madness in when they get Matt from Boundaries to come on a track works really, really well. That's probably one of the coolest like guest spots of the year on that track, Matt from Boundaries. Very, very sick.
It really is. Yeah. And yeah, the title track finishes the album brilliantly. It's really bloody hard. It's epic. And then finishes off with their own name. Like, it's such a brilliant tight little package, this thing. Yeah. It's really fucking cool.
Yeah, really succinct, really spinnable, proper fun. Like, yeah, it's a bloody great record. New World Killer by Spite, out Friday. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. And then on top of that, the Deathcore fans will be delighted to hear there is a new Despised Icon album coming out. Despised Icon, 6-piece Deathcore legends from Montreal. Their album is called Shadow Work. It's their 7th studio album, and it's released on the 31st of October through Nuclear Blast.
Your life's a disarray. You will look the other way. Our fight is bad. Our fight is bad. For every single thing we built.
Despised Icon, formed in 2002, been around pretty consistently. They split up from 2010 to 2014. And then they played a few shows, and they kind of came back properly when they released Beast in 2016. You know, this is like their 3rd album since their comeback. I mean, going away for 4 years and then coming back, I'm not sure you really count that. I think that's a hiatus. That's not splitting up. But like, in their kind of post-Reformation.
That's like what Alexis did. Remember,
Yeah,
they're like, oh, we're off now, and they're like, well, we're just gonna play a festival like a little bit, like every year, and they're like, fuck it.
Every year they're going to come back and do a show in the UK. We are split up though, honestly. Like, yeah, no one's buying it, guys. And maybe it's a Canadian thing, like. But,
The Canadian goodbye, is that a thing?
you just can't actually leave. Yeah, so Despised Icon, third record back. They're not, no disrespect, they're not getting any younger. I mean, no judgment, we're all getting old. we're all aging. It happens to everyone, unfortunately.
Old as hell, dude.
And I guess when you kind of this far into a career that's been, quite lauded and quite special to a lot of people, maybe you kind of get to a point where you're like, I'm not entirely sure what the move is and what to kind of do and how to make a new album and stay like engaged with what you're doing and interested and, try and stay relevant as well. Like that's obviously something you've got to think about. You can't, you can make the music you want, but if no one's going to listen to it, what was the point? Like, and you don't want to just kind of be one of those bands that have just become diminishing returns. Like you've got to try and you've got to try and stay on the cutting edge. I think it's important. And I feel like on this Despised Icon album, they've definitely had a go at that. They've definitely had a crack at trying some new things. And the record is a bit of a game of two halves. Like it starts off incredibly, incredibly strong, and you kind of get exactly what you were expecting. Like I guess you get a Despised Icon who are kind of in their comfort zone, and then about track 6 or 7, they start pivoting and they start doing the experiment. Is the track with Mystique, which I think is called In Memoriam, where they start throwing in these like symphonic elements, and there's the Hetfield like singing kind of comes in, and I was a bit like, what the bloody hell is going on? Like I was up to that point, I was so on board with what was going on with this record. Like it was so bloody hard. It was they have this kind of skill of making everything sound really like punishing. Like they're literally using your eardrum for the snare drum skin. Like, it's all like ba 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 ba. It all just like it's really aggressive. Like I think they produced it themselves, and it's really aggressive, and it really like just everything attacks harder. You've got two vocalists kind of coming at you from both sides, and it's all really 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 full on. And then that kind of happened, and there was these sort of like plinky plonky symphonic bits and stuff going on, and I was a bit like, what? I was a bit confused,
dude. So that's you can't blame them. They haven't rested on their laurels,
no,
because
for
this
sure.
album is
No,
really
for sure.
explosive. It's got their typical like full grinding extremity. It's technical, it's frantic, it's feral. It's like this brilliant like virtuoso blend of death metal precision and street level hardcore that really not many bands do as well as they do.
No, definitely not.
It's technical sort of deathcore, but it's grounded with this hardcore grit, and it can sort of take you aback a bit on those moments where it gets to this moment where it's like it kind of is Hatebreed in space, and it's wild to have those synthy elements, and then you go straight into the complete Jasta of it. Like it's just a little bit jarring. Like they're a band that are uncompromising and explosive, and like you can expect just switch ups and just like ankle snapping moments all over the place. And there's a few little bits in this record, but I would say that they're blips on an otherwise sort of pretty stunning record.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a very, very strong performance. Like I think it's a sign of maybe a bit of a bygone era where things would be a bit choppier. Like these days, where in the era of streaming, everyone kind of listens to everything, and so band sounds kind of become big blends of styles, whereas it feels like Despised Icon are kind of these two sort of stark different styles that they sort of switch between rather than fusing them together really seamlessly. But I think that's kind of their charm, and that's why you've got the vocalist who represents the death metal, and you've got the vocalist who represents the hardcore, so it really works in their favor to kind of keep the two things kind of separate. But I don't know. There's just that those couple of moments that were a bit confusing for me, but for the most part, like this record opens like an absolute monster. Like the title track at the beginning is incredible, absolutely Larry as hell. And then what's the track? It's Over My Dead Body, isn't it? With Matt Honeycutt. That was a single, and I don't know if maybe it was because I didn't like the video that I was put off by the song, because the video is a bit strange. But the song, when you hear it inside the record, it's absolutely banging.
Yeah, but it was a confusing one that came out because it's so drenched in the hardcore, that track, and it was like, oh, is this what Despised is doing on this record? Like, are they losing some of the more sort of crazy technical aspects that you know and love from them? But no, it's the way it sits in the record, like it's wicked. And I did, it was a weird one. I do like that it's just, it's a beat down hardcore track with like just breeze and like a discorded breakdown in it. It is sick, really. If you think about it, you think about the nuts and bolts of what makes that track. It is sick.
Yeah, none of those ingredients taste bad, do they?
Nah. The end of Corpse Pose, dude, that's the bit that always gets me. It's the peak of the record for me. And it's just this intense, massive, soaring high vocal that comes out, and it's transcendent. It's bloody gorgeous. It's such a feral and like heinous vocal. It's so pained and just it's bloody sick.
Corpse Pose is killer when you get to that like machine gun guitar break, when there's like the sort of the kind of, like the Misery Signals-y sort of discordant underneath this like these just really machine gun heavy like kick pedal guitar, like it's so aggro. And then like Obsessive Compulsive Disaster is basically a Hatebreed song. Like I had to, I spent a good like 20 minutes looking on Google to see if Jamie Jaster was a guest on that track, because he really sounded like he was.
Even like the intonation is like it sounds like now what was it? I can't remember the track. I've got it written here. This is Now. Yeah. It's literally the bits from This Is Now. Like it's so good.
Contra Cur is really cool. I don't know that Despised Icon have ever written an entire song in French. I think it's the first time. I think they've had like, because obviously they're French Canadian. They're from Quebec. Like I don't know that they've ever written an entire song in French. I think Contra Cur is a place in Quebec, so I feel like it's a really cool like 1.5 minute like proper old school hardcore anthem, just them kind of just getting psyched about their hometown, and I really enjoyed that. It was a really interesting little sort of deviation from what had been going on the record to have that in there, quite thrashy almost. It
was wild. It's nice, isn't it? It's so sick. It's even more intense, like when you like just not having a real grasp on what they're talking about. It just makes because it's such a bloody mental track. You're like,
and gang vocals in a French accent sound kind of interesting as well. Like, that's not something I've ever come across before. Not listened to a lot of French like gang vocal kind of chanty hardcore music, mainly just like noodly, mathy, like weird shit. If I'm listening to French bands, this is a really, really bloody wicked record. Like again, another really, really strong record from a band who have been doing it for a long time. And kind of, no, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by this record. I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh my God, like what's going on? Maybe like I was saying, the synth bit in that track might confuse them. But beyond that, I don't think anyone's going to be like, holy shit, what happened to Despised Icon? Like this is kind of par for the course a little bit, but it's a bloody great record.
Yeah, I show that, sort of have this down as a legacy band showing they've still got teeth. Like this is a really, it's an interesting record. It's produced brilliantly.
Absolutely.
Twists and turns all over it. It rips. Yeah, it sounds really sharp, inspired, and very, very chaotic, but that's what you want. You're not looking for a bit of chaos in a Despised Icon record, then you're probably in the wrong place.
You're lost. I think if you were to look at it,
you might need to phone your mum.
You need to compass me. I think if you were looking at it in comparison to the other bands of their kind of stature who are still doing it, which would be Suicide Silence, and the last thing that Suicide Silence put out, this makes that look like a bloody indie record. I think like this is absolutely firing. They've got to be in their 40s, maybe some of them are potentially pushing 50, but you'd never realize that. It's got as much energy in it as the Spite record does. Like, you can't hear a marked difference in how much energy and how much oomph and enthusiasm that the bands have, even though there's potentially like 20 years between them.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, they don't sound like, they sound like whippersnappers.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came up with a few sort of quick fire questions that I was going to throw at you as a way of like comparing the two records and kind of seeing where your allegiances lie between the two, right? So imagine you were trying to introduce a child to deathcore, Sonny. Imagine Max wanted to hear deathcore. Which of these two records would you be more likely to show him?
Spite record, because I think it's a bit more it's a bit more furious and less to get your head around. If it was his first deathcore record ever, that is what deathcore is.
Yeah, I think so. I was kind of thinking, like, if you were to show Despised Icon, it'd be like trying to get your kid into hip hop by showing them Dr. Dre. They're probably going to be like, I think you're right. I think the Spite album's probably a bit more fun as well, a bit more kind of. Obviously, it's got a lot of darkness to it, but I think it sort of presents itself as a bit more cheeky, maybe.
Yeah, it's more Runaway Train, isn't it? You know?
Absolutely. Okay, if you were a wrestler, which song from these two records would you pick as your entrance music?
Ooh,
that's a tough.
Shadowworks, unreal.
Yeah,
Shadowworks starts so strong. It's such a bloody explosion. But then maybe I would pick Corpse Pose, and it would just be the end of Corpse Pose, because that vocal is just so sick. That high vocal is better than anything on both the records.
That's a good option. I was kind of thinking originally like Lights Out by Spite, but actually it's got a bit of quite an obtuse introductory structure. So if you were a wrestler, you need something that's just going to hit straight away. So I sort of thought Over My Dead Body was probably the most like immediately hard. Like, I kind of imagined the Titantron coming on and the fireworks going before as it kicks in. I thought it would work as I was making my way down to that Stone Cold, like really pissed off.
Yeah,
like,
you're about to go and chuck her through elbows at D'Lo Brown or something like that.
Absolutely.
Or Bam Bam Bigelow.
Right, okay. Which of these records would you be more likely to put on if you were a getaway driver in a bank robbery?
Spite all day long.
I think you're right, yeah. It's just got a bit more of a kind of consistent pulse that would lend itself to helping you lock in to drive like a nutter.
Yeah, I already said it was like a Runaway Train.
Yeah,
basically,
it's essentially the same thing. Yeah,
If I said the other one, I'd just be a complete hypocrite.
This is quite a difficult one, I think. Is which of the two records has the coolest drum performance?
Ooh,
I feel like this is a really tricky one to get because they kind of come at it in very different approaches.
Two different schools.
There's it's kind of technicality versus just absolutely ignorant battering, and I guess it's kind of down to what you prefer. What's more your speed?
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to say that the Despised Icon record wouldn't be the more interesting performance.
Yeah, I think
was that the question?
Yeah,
is it interesting?
Yeah, well, coolest, but coolest is most
interesting.
Coolest
though.
Oh no, does that change your answer?
More cool? Yeah, is anything more cool than just going absolutely bloody mental? Is what's cooler, like a hammer or a surgical?
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? Like
they're both quite cool, but I mean, hammers are pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. One of these drummers is like a wind-up monkey, and then the other one's more like, I don't know, some sort of really advanced robot. And it's like, which one of them's more cool? I think you're right. I think hammer beats scalpel. I think I agree. Yeah, Despised Icon, I would probably agree with you on that. Okay, using only these two albums as context, which is cooler, two vocalists or one?
Ooh.
What
two.
Do you think having two vocalists? I mean, you know me, I love two vocalists in a band. It's something that I've just always had a thing for, ever since I got really obsessed with Sick as an early metalhead. But I think Darius Tarani can just do so much. He's such a powerhouse. He's got so much like individual flair and style. And like if he popped up in a song with another band, you'd immediately be like Darius Tarani on that track. Whereas if one of the guys from Despised Icon popped up on another, unless he was doing his breeze, I don't know that you'd be able to go, that's Alex or like Steven or Alex from Despised Icon. I think I would personally say that in using only this context, the one vocalist is the better job.
All right. I'll succeed that. I think, yeah, I'm happy.
Okay, man, right. Which of these two artworks would you rather have tattooed on your head?
Ooh, the jaw, the jaw used as a crown is. I think I've said this, like, you know, like Discord and stuff. Like, I think it's one of the coolest pieces of artwork I've seen. Or it's definitely like my favorite thing that I can remember right now. Like off the top of my head, I don't think anything's
on the top of your head. You mean?
On the top of my head than someone removing their jaw or having their jaw smashed off and then just doing a bit of that with it. I think it's such a brilliantly horrific concept.
Despised Icon album cover is probably the coolest artwork that I've seen of the year. Not that I'm saying the Spite front cover isn't cool, but Elaran Kantor painting someone who's using their lower jaw as a crown is like insanely hard, and you're going to struggle to beat that. And it would also look really sick right on the top of your head, wouldn't it? It looked really cool. You look really, really hard. Okay, which features the best guest vocalist? I'll lay them out for you. So you've got, with Spite, you've got Tyler Shelton from Traitors, you've got Will Ramos from Lorna Shore, and you've got Matt McDougall from Boundaries. And then with Despised Icon, you've got Matt Honeycutt from Kubla Khan, Scott Lewis from Carnifex, and Tom Barber from Chelsea Grin. So it's kind of essentially a battle of the Mats. I think we might have already answered this question, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think we have.
Yeah. The Doogs, mate.
The Doogs.
It's all about the big Doogs.
Big Doogs absolutely crushed it on that track. What a legend. All right, last question then. Which of these bands is more likely to headline a festival after this record?
Ooh.
And I'm not specifying what festival. It could be any festival. Which one of them is more likely to get that headline spot?
I mean, it's got to be Despised Icon.
It's probably got to be Despised Icon.
Legacy does rule when it comes to festival headliners. Unless there was like a super sick deathcore all day. Like, if
Impericon was to do, like, you know, maybe you could see Spite. I mean, maybe you actually did see Spite headline an Impericon Never Say Die tour, potentially. And I don't think I'd ever, but I could see Despised Icon headlining Bloodstock, maybe, or like, even if it wasn't main stage, like second stage headliner, potentially. I could see that happening. Like, you got Whitechapel quite high up the bill last year or this year. I think it was last year. Like, I could see Despised Icon getting that spot, like, and I think that would be a really, really cool day. Like, I think you'd really enjoy just watching Despised Icon go off on one. I think it'd be really fun. But I genuinely think that Spite have got a really bright future off the back of this record.
100%.
And I think that, you know, maybe an album or two more, another cycle of like something as strong, or maybe even like, I don't know, just maybe something a little bit broader, and they could see themselves sitting on the top of something like a Radar, or like a sort of smaller scale, but still like a established festival for sure.
Yeah,
man. Two very, very strong records. I kind of thought it was going to be a lot more like of a whitewash of which record was better. I was like, the Spite record's going to be miles better. But actually, the comparisons were really close. Like, this Despised Icon record really slaps.
Yeah, it does. Despised Icon record is fantastic, but yeah, the Spite one just blew me away. I was not prepared to be as addicted to it as I am. It's just a proper ravenous beast of a record. Yeah, hell yeah,
guys, check them both out. They're both out Friday 31st of October. Deathcore fans, you're eating well. You're eating well. Things
Full
are
bellies.
coming up Deathcore for you right now. If you like what we do, we're here every week talking about new music. Maybe we might introduce you to a band that you don't know that you should. Maybe we love the same bands that you do and you can get excited about them with us. Either way, hit the subscribe button and come join the fun. We'll see you soon.
Hell yeah.
Peace.